We got a Luger.png now.
One of the most embarrassingly poignant moments
in
my journey of self-discovery when I
need
was a
speech
young,
therapy.
wee little teenage boy was being called a poser.
Time machine
by
me.
the elder
Please
emos. I'd never
put
felt
me in
so
speech therapy if you want me.
invalidated, so silly, so
Autoload.
goofy, so
Render.
look at the poser boy. Then on that moment where I rocked up on non-school uniform day proudly in my My Chemical Romance Black Parade t-shirt, and I got called
rendering,
a poser
then uploading. Oh shit, no, stop. I didn't finish. Shit. I'm doing markers still.
And what does that have to do with this video essay? Well, I'm not sure, but maybe we'll unpack that somewhere throughout it. Today we are talking about posers on TikTok and what it represents for society. But
then
before we get into that, hello there, my name is Cowder's Life. And if you're new to this channel, basically what we do is video essays about things we see on the internet, then we'll discuss it as a team down in the comment section below. So if that sounds like fun for you, please feel free to subscribe. We're trying to beat this ratio, and if we do beat it, that would be
a first wolf.
Now just showing that I definitely am a poser, aren't I? Anyways, we do digress. And if you're not new here, hello again, old friend. It's me, your boy Cow. And I'm still growing out my hair, and I'm still having to wear hats because I can't quite manage it.
I think YouTube
now.
likes it.
For a haircut
not like literally. I'm not
hopefully they can cut
ascribing it like personhood or anything,
like
but
70s rock star. Yippee! Let's crack on with the video. The term poser has been used within various subcultures to describe a person that is very try-hard. They adopt the aesthetics and behaviors without truly understanding its values and core principles. The term started to get really big and popular around the 1970s when, you know, punks was this big, powerful movement, and basically they used the term to criticize people that were more interested in the looks and aesthetics of being punk rather than, you know, the radical political movement that it was. You know, hello spiky hair and anarchy, so long, anything to do with actual anti-establishment ethos. In recent years though, with like the rise of social media and apps like TikTok, the issue and the discussions around posers has become more prominent. TikTok's algorithmic promotion of visually pleasing content means that it has led to like a surge of people adopting subcultures styles superficially, often for like clout or monetization, and that creates a real interesting conversation within these sub-movements of the purposes of these posers within the sub-movements. Say sub-movements.
Everyone says we have a choice.
Anyway, it's a fascinating one with pros and cons, which we're going to dive into today. Yes, that's right, posers somehow have a purpose in this world, and that's okay. First off, let's just look at some of the biggest known posers on TikTok currently, so it gives us a fair, equal playing field so we know what to envision when we're talking about posers in subcultures. Yep, first we have Shannon Blake, known for her spiritual and hippie-themed content. Shannon Blake has received so much controversy online for basically being every negative stereotype of a hippie you can imagine. Really rich, totally self-unaware, and despite kind of being like, I'm all about helping and stuff, all of her lyrics are me, I win, I got loads of money. Gotta love TikTok, eh? Her portrayal of hippie culture often really overlooks its countercultural roots and focuses on a more superficial spirituality. You know, just basically saying things.
No, wait, spiritual movement needs to fuck itself.
And interesting. And if that doesn't do it for you, Shannon Blake has also been criticized because of the spirituality she does talk about, you know, with Palladians and Nordic aliens, bear an uncomfortable resemblance to the Aryan race. Is it white supremacy, or is she just naive? Who knows? Up next on our posers hit list is TX2. TX2 has garnered so much fame for his emo, wait no I mean punk, wait no I mean goth, wait no I mean metal, music. He basically has this big tendency of just switching between the different subcultures whilst producing rage-bait content, all to farm clicks and engagement to his page. And of course this rage-bait completely detracts from the authenticity of these sub-movements and, you know, pretty much misleads his young impressionable audience. Also a very notable talking point with TX2 is his glorification of self-harm. You know, if you're so attached to the emo scene, maybe don't glorify self-harm, you silly Billy. It's kind of weird, which we will dive
Kinger
into.
had no
Another
insect
member
collection.
Of the poser posse is Caroline Carr, this rock and roll punk rocker punk. Woohoo! Cherry bomb! Caroline recently did a cover of Cherry Bomb. That's why I just wanted to join in and have some fun singing along. But we do digress. Okay. Caroline profits off the punk aesthetic, but their behavior completely contradicts the DIY ethos. Caroline regularly promotes fast fashion and the TikTok shop on her page, which is not punk. That's capitalism, baby. Goes against punk as it's not anti-establishment. It's, I'm all for the establishment. I want to get creepy old white man incorporated richer. Yoo-hoo. Stop. I don't like it. Also, there was this other punk creator that got a lot of heat for wearing a Balenciaga top in one of their posts. But then they came online and they were like, no, that picture's from ages ago. I wasn't even punk then. Okay. But it does highlight a very important question of subcultural purity and real-life complexities. I.e., no one on this planet was born punk. You become punk, or you become part of these subculture movements. So of course, there'll be pictures existing online, probably because everyone has a digital footprint, of when they didn't look punk. Oh, the conversation of poses is so complex and interesting. So strap on in, because I've got a lot of yapping I want to do, and I hope we can all talk about it in the comment section below. Yeet, yeet. Let's get into it. Sorry, I've also had a lot of stimulants today. Not heinous ones, just lots of caffeine. So I'm a bit like, woo! Point 1, let's get into it, yeah. Glorification and misrepresentation. Posers, or people considered posers by the communities they belong to, or at least superficially look like they belong to, often prioritize the fashionable aspects of the subculture while like ignoring or completely misunderstanding the underlying philosophies. And basically why that is #bad. Don't know why I said that. That is painfully cringe, but you know, I'm a one-take kind of guy, so we're going to keep on rolling. But basically why that is bad is because it completely dilutes the subculture's original message and the purpose. So for example, take Shannon Blake. You would think the hippie's all about peace and love and spreading kindness and being positive. Look at Shannon's lyrics. They're all me, 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 I, I'm securing the bag, I'm rich, I fly first class. Doom, goom, boom, not cool. That's not very hippie, yo. That is capitalism dressed up with locks and all of that other hippie goodness.
Valid.
Don't get distracted by the happy-go-lucky lyrics. That is very much creepy old man incorporated right there. Behind that is a bunch of old men being like, we're gonna get so rich off of this. And they will. Capitalism, baby. What a freaking unbeatable boss that is. And the problem is when you get these stereotypical posery looking characters like Shannon Blake and TX2 who are clearly trying to monetize the whole thing.
Okay,
it's in the eyes that look
now
at them,
everything's
now
done.
see them as this quirky product rather than this actual radical movement or something that's actually trying to spread
Update
good
everything,
in the world. It's just this
make
look that you can
sure.
go buy a hot topic,
Yeah.
or
Okay, cool.
if you go on Etsy and
Window.
type in, I want to look like I've just come back from stroking elephants, but it looks good on my job applications, you know? Boom, bang, boom, that's what these two are. And they don't actually perpetuate any real good ideas to society, really, apart from at a base level if you don't really choose to analyze them. But
if you want to talk about hippie shit,
isn't that
or
fun?
spiritualism, New Age spiritualism, and how New Age spiritualism is predatory and failed you, I'm here. We can also talk about not New Age spiritualism.
Just trying to talk about the sub-movements,
but that takes a lot more me getting cozy.
Which creates a bit of a weird, toxic environment because maybe the younger viewers or just people new to the scene who saw, say, Shannon Blake or TX2 and now they're interested in punk or hippies are like, oh, Mel, I want to get into these. And then they're seeing all this conflict in the comment section, be like, this isn't real punk or this isn't real hippie. Boom! Smash anger. Emotion, and it creates this weird environment, and that brings me on to my next talking point, which is toxicity and gatekeeping.
Thank you so much for doing editing time with me.
Create a lot of gatekeeping in communities.
I have so much fun.
They create anger, and anger is an emotion that people tend to let out in comment sections. So basically, I think posers serve a real positive role in the world, as being like these giant signposts.
30 minutes of recording left to encode.
And they should only really be used at a superficial level. But
it's
still,
about 30 minutes of video.
Can be like, hey, look, hippies exist, or hey, punks exist. And though these two characters may represent very diluted versions of said sub-movement,
it's just 4% through.
Signposts.
So it like has 30-ish.
You see a big,
that is so
sign
cool.
saying, hippie, you're gonna think, hippie, and then you might go home and Google it and search it.
I shouldn't have done what I just did
these two
there.
are in human, tangible, not tactile, but tangible form. So they may pique your curiosity, and that's how you get into those sub-movements, and then you finally can forget all about
leaving it be.
TX2 and Shannon Blake and actually become a real hippie or a real punk, which I don't even know what means anymore, because there's so much conflict on what it means to be authentic these days that I just say I'm nothing, and I just silently watch. Anyways, we do digress. But the issue with these young minds
I'm a no-talent ass clown and a shit kicker and a lamer
so anger and emotion towards TX2 and Shannon Blake, and
I like
so,
weed
I'm not coming against those
and
people.
smiles and sunshine and sunflowers, people being well. And when I say people, I mean the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the eight-leggeds,
mean to be in these movements and be like,
the six as well, but tenuous emotional ties from me, so I'm prejudiced towards them.
How gelled and spiky you can make your hair, anarchies or whatever. It's about an actual thing. But the genuinely interested new people to the subcultures will now be put off because they're like, oh gosh, this seems like there's a lot of T's and C's to join these movements. I don't got all of that,
I
friend.
grew up as an accepting punk motherfucker.
Probably if you were just nice about it, they would have donned the cool look and then gotten into, going to the local scenes and actually learning about it. But when you greeted with so much animosity, especially as a young mind, it's quite off-putting. Which links back to my intro about when I got called a poser. I didn't want to be an emo anymore. I was like, by the one thing I thought I could find comfortability in, and I didn't. So then
I was a young punk kid.
Gym lad.
Played ska, played violin in quartet, played baroque.
But this is why it's also interesting.
Did ska shit. Had an interest in percussion. I was usually a string instrument player. Violin, arhu. I'm learning bass when I get my hands back on one again.
Probably heinous for society, but despite all that, they still act as signposts that can get you into communities. It's just the actual members of those communities, once you get past surface deep, will be annoyed by those people because it's like, well, it doesn't actually represent us at all. But it might pique new people's curiosity into those movements. And also, if we're being honest, everybody starts off a poser, everybody starts off as someone new trying to get into a scene. So just calling people out as posers online, yes, you may want to call TX2 and Shannon Blake, but I've also seen...
If I can't look at newbie vegans and be like, oh, you're so dope, thanks for just participating. But instead, I'm some elitist fuck that's like, oh, give me your card. Like, fuck me. No. Like, there's nothing I do where I think that's appropriate.
Lots of instances of...
Which means, when others gatekeep in places where I'm allowed, I will fuck you up. Don't be an elitist where I'm welcome. I will make sure everyone else feels welcome.
On TikTok being called a poser.
Don't make it be at your expense.
Not nice, gatekeepy environment. Like, there's people in my comment sections from other videos I've done on subcultures being like, they got called a poser for not owning a leather jacket, listening to other music other than the punk genre, only owning more than one pair of boots. Like, come on, what a privilege it is to own multiple pairs of shoes. And yes, you and I watching this might be like, oh, Cal, but I own multiple pairs of shoes. Yes, it's still a luxury, and not everybody gets that. The world is a very unequal playing field. So, just think before you call someone a poser. Conversely, I've also seen older people of these communities.
This is why we don't talk about people's appearances.
Themselves, they don't
by and large.
Stereotypical look that social media perpetuates 24/7.
I love their ink.
They've got a job, they've got financial commitments. Their validity.
Fill in the context yourself. I'm not able to help with that.
A more younger thing to do. You dress up a certain way so you are that thing, if that makes sense. And that's not a shot at younger people doing that. That's a great way to express it.
You saying, and I quote, who doing what actually makes me lose all context of what we were just talking about. Because you were so nebulous. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and it is emotionally distressing to have to sit down everything, figure out. What the fuck do you mean? And specificity, you got that?
Yourself to begin with and find what works best for you. It's just this whole thing has nuance. So calling someone a poser,
what do you mean?
Just makes you this poser because you think so hard about.
Use more words to explain what you want.
Movement that it just makes you seem like.
Then we only have to ask once.
A weirdo, really. Someone I would mute on a call. That was the worst way to end that point. I think it's very normal for if you're part of these subculture movements to, want to uphold its standards. But with that, don't just go calling everyone a poser left, right, and center because they don't meet your own criteria. Your criteria, which is unique to you and self-put on by you. As long as someone's trying to actively learn and better themselves, who cares about the journey of how they got there?
Yup.
Right? However, another very valid critique of these poses is the commercialization of it. And yes, that's the next talking point.
Commodification of human beings.
Basically capitalism.
Should stop.
Zooey mama. A very valid critique of poses is they often contribute, even sometimes unknowingly, to the commercialization of subculture movements and what they mean. And sorry my arms are moving about a lot. I just clocked that in the viewfinder. I'm going to try and calm that down because I don't want to annoy you all. I've just got a lot of excited energy today because I really enjoy talking about subculture movements. Long time fan. First time commenter. It's not. I've done so many videos on this. Digression again. Let's get back on track. Basically, we get people like the Cherry Bomb TikTok content creator selling stuff on the TikTok shop, profiting off the look, getting financial gain from it, kind of exploiting a fan base, being like, if you want to be punk too, if you want to be alternative, buy this fast fashion crap from the TikTok shop, which quality will be awful, but I get money. You know, it's prioritizing making money over actually doing something for the culture, actually doing something for the movement. So long on the DIY, do-it-yourself ethos.
It's not just this person, it's what the culture thinks.
Small independent brands. Now it's, let's get Creepy Old Man Incorporated richer, please. I think he needs another $1 billion in his back pocket. Particularly in the punk culture, these characters that are seen wearing fast fashion alternatives of things that are heavily associated with, you know, punk culture, such as the crust pants or like the patch jackets. Buying versions of those really undermines the values of, you know, building it yourself and customizing it with your favorite bands and such. It all just makes it seem like this fun little gimmick that you can log in and log out of whenever you want. However, I feel like I should note there are some cases where people have to buy pre-made crust pants or, you know, trouser patches or just aesthetics that are linked to
my pepper spray's on there because
reasons. You know, those reasons they might, maybe they physically can't make them themselves, but they still want to be a part of the scene. So, you know, they may buy
there is a
Etsy,
pending
or, you know, still at home,
bitch you're not allowed alone
like,
outside unless you take your pepper spray.
You have to buy them from a shop. There's a whole host
from
of
like
reasons why people do the things they do. So don't label
at
someone
least
a
3
poser so
people.
quickly. Not cool, not swag, not
I think
inclusive.
5.
Actually, very counterintuitive. If
I
you
think
want
like
to keep the
5
movement
people.
going. Basically, what I'm gonna say throughout this whole conversation is try and think with nuance and emotion and compassion, rather than he's a poser or they're a poser, they must be bad. Rah! There's pros and cons to everything, and there's also reasons to most things. Obviously, these big characters represent a lot of bad for the movements, but individual small creators that you're calling posers or just random people in comment sections arguing with them because they may or may not have made their own cross pants, well then,
right?
There could be genuine reasons why they
people
didn't.
just
However,
chilling.
in the case
Leave
of
them
like
be.
Caroline and such, who are using their platform and their privilege to, you know, just try and sell their fans shit, is the polite way to put it. Just
like actual shit though.
Like, yeah, I love this, I use it all the time, then you'll never see it in another video. And they just have hundreds of these things. It all just promotes over-consumerism, which is a problem in wider society. It's not just linked to subcultures, just the overconsumption, just
and it's not just this person, it's what the culture
more.
thinks.
Buy more.
No, for real, they're right.
You know, I need
and,
more to express myself rather than expressing ourselves
Kendrick's
through our
iconic.
own operations. It's not good. It's not ethical business practices, and it really
2 vegcom approved statements.
In the punk scene.
We dig this
like
person.
TX2 having a cameo page.
Kendrick
like,
was right.
Oh, maybe these people actually are just terrible for the scene, because it's just like, pay me money and I will send you a 30-second video, and I'll just read off a script. It's all just a bit disingenuous, and they're just very much these characters rather than anyone actually trying to perpetuate something good.
Is
and
that
obviously you wouldn't critique
risky
someone with
to
the same totality if
link
they
high
didn't
up?
be a punk, emo, or goth. Still, I don't know to this day which one is it, TX2. I guess you change your mind every week. But because TX2 does profit off these subculture movements that are meant to be about, you know, anti-establishment and going against the grain, and, you know, not prioritizing securing the bag. It's funny seeing these content creators try and sell you so much stuff, because it's just like, oh, you're very clearly the capitalistic concept of these movements and not,
you know,
actually of these movements.
Just saying.
Next up, I kind of want to discuss some of like the ethical and social concerns I've been contemplating, starting with exploitation of mental health. TX2's glorification of self-harm and mental health issues for clout is like so devoid of humanity and like completely unethical. Not only that, it's actually
Doing that for clout is disgusting. That is predating upon something that harms our least herd. And your loud, bombastic ass is pantomiming as our most unheard. Summarily fuck yourself. That's disgusting. That is, like, actually fucking disgusting. Bitches! Bitches be fucking up some days.
Incredibly dumb and dangerous. Especially ethic for clout is like so devoid of humanity and like completely with exploitation of mental health. TX2's glorification of self-harm and mental health issues for clout is like so